Alright, so this is going to be a short video showing you how to hopefully speed up your computer if it's moving you too slow. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open the Windows Task Manager. You do that by right-clicking on the taskbar. This is the taskbar here. Sometimes it might be down here. Right-click, Start Task Manager. And the default tab that it shows up with is this one here. And that shows all of the programs that you have that are running. So to figure out which ones are causing the computer to slow down, we're going to go to the Processes tab. And you see all these different columns that are here, and you're going to want to have the ones that you're going to look at are going to be the CPU tab and the Memory tab. And if those don't show up, then you need to go to View, Select Columns, and make sure that CPU usage and memory working set are selected. So then we sort by one of those. We'll start with memory. And look at the ones that are at the top. You can see for me it's this Firefox.exe, Thunderbird.exe, Explorer.exe. Especially Firefox is using a rather large amount of memory. In this case, it's about 1.25 gigabytes, which is quite a significant amount, especially for some computers. For me, I have a lot of memory, so that's acceptable to me. But if yours has that much, it may be a good idea to close that program and bring it back up, and that generally will reduce the memory usage. So what you're going to want to do here, whether it's memory or the CPU that we're talking about, is to look at this list and see which ones are taking up a lot of memory and decide whether or not they're important, or maybe whether you can just close them and reopen them. It doesn't just work for Firefox. Sometimes other programs will do that as well. If you close it and reopen it, it won't use as much memory. It'll be faster. Your computer will be faster. But especially look out for any programs that you don't remember starting. That over here in the description tab, it doesn't say anything there that looks important, like this DWM. I didn't start that, but that's the desktop window manager, and so I know that that's important. It's maybe taking up a little bit of memory and CPU, but it's important, so I don't want to get rid of it. But if there is something else here that you didn't start, and it doesn't really tell you anything that sounds important, you may want to kill it. And the way you do that is by right-clicking on it and saying End Process. And it gives you this warning you that you may not want to do that. In this case I don't, so I'm going to cancel out of it. But if you do want to do that, you would hit End Process. Now, you got to realize that when you end a process this way, it ends in a way that the program generally does not like. A program wants to end in a slower way, where it gets a chance to save all of its files and stuff, so that when it does start back up again, it's ready to work well. But sometimes programs will get stuck, or programs will show up in this list that aren't here that you want to delete, in which case really the only way to delete them is to use this list here. So the best way to do it, like I said, is to close it. So you would open your program like iTunes, click the X button, and it closes. Mine does this thing, but that's okay. But if you look back at this list, you see iTunes didn't close like we wanted it to. It's still here. It's actually taking up quite a bit of CPU. So I'm going to go ahead and use this method of closing it. Click Delete on your keyboard, or you can right-click and then choose End Process, and it's gone. So you want to look at the memory column. You also want to look at the CPU column. CPU column is a percentage. So you want to choose the one that's taking up a lot of CPU percentage time. You can look at an overall look at what's happening in your computer here in the Performance tab. That shows you overall you're using 41% and 4.8 gigabytes. That's quite a bit. For me, it's okay because I have a lot of memory, but if it was a computer with less overall memory, then it might be a good idea to close some programs if you had that much. So if the CPU is like 50% or 70 or 80 or 100, something like that, there's probably something wrong. And you need to find which one's using the most and end it. In this case, I know what's going on, I know that it's okay, but most of the time, you need to be aware that programs taking up a lot of CPU are either working hard on something or using unnecessary CPU time. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go here and we're going to type services.msc. And this shows you stuff that starts when your computer starts. Without you having to tell it to do anything, it just starts automatically if it says automatic here. Now there are some things that will start only if you tell them to, and that'll say manual. But for stuff that's automatic, you want to look at it and see, is it something that's important? So you can open up the description column and read about it, and if you think it's not important, then maybe you want to change it to manual. So like I have this one up here that says Apple mobile device. If I had an iPhone or an iPad or an iPod, then it might be important to have that running so that when I plug in my device, it works well and starts up quickly. But I don't. So I'm going to go here and say Properties, right-click on it, Properties, and change the startup type to Manual. And that way, when I first start up my computer, it won't start automatically. So look through this list, see if you find any that maybe shouldn't be running when the computer first starts up, and change it to manual. And even if when they're on manual, they'll start if they need to. If I were to plug my iPhone in, it would probably start automatically, but I don't need it to start when the computer starts, and so I'm going to change it to manual. The last thing you can do to make sure that programs don't start automatically if you don't want them to when the computer starts up is to go again to here, click on this search box, and type shell :startup. Click on this, and this is a folder that has programs in it that start automatically when the computer starts up. Right now I don't have any in here, but if there were, then you would just choose it and click the delete button, and it would remove it from this folder. That doesn't mean that it uninstalled it from the computer, just that it's not going to start when the computer starts up. Alright, so that's it. I hope it helped you. I'll talk to you later.